Lance Buckley called me at 7:42 on a Monday morning. I was already at my desk with my second cup of coffee, pulling up the weekend exception logs, same as I'd done every Monday for 11 years. His number came up on my phone and I knew before I picked up that something was wrong. Lance never called anyone before 9. "Gary, come up to my office. Bring your access credentials." That was it. No good morning, no context. I'm Gary Pruitt, 54 years old, Senior Payroll Systems Manager at Hartwell Freight and Distribution. Before I took this job, I drove long haul for 8 years, Ohio to Texas, Michigan to Georgia, overnight runs where your whole world is the road and the radio, and whether your direct deposit cleared before you hit the next fuel stop. I know what these drivers go through because I've been there. That's why I've never once missed a payroll run in 11 years. Not once. Hartwell runs freight across Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Kentucky. 8,400 drivers and warehouse workers. The payroll system I manage isn't pretty. It's built on legacy SQL databases, custom scripts, and a decade of patches that I've applied one problem at a time. It handles HOS compliance calculations for drivers crossing state lines, EFTA fuel tax records, federal contract prevailing wages, and union differentials that change based on cargo type and consecutive days worked. It's not something you pick up from a textbook. It's something you build year by year by knowing where every single failure point is buried. Lance's office was on the 4th floor. Glass desk, leather chairs, a view of the freight yard he'd probably never actually looked at. He was sitting there with Donna Whitfield from HR. She'd been here almost as long as I had, but always picked the company's side when it mattered. And sitting next to Lance was someone I didn't recognize. She was young, mid-20s. iPad on the table, business suit, the kind of confident posture you get when you've aced every exam but haven't seen a real system fail yet. "Gary," Lance said, "this is Nora, my niece. She just finished her MBA at Georgetown." Nora Buckley extended her hand. "I've been reviewing your processes. Very thorough, but also very manual." The way she said manual, like it was something embarrassing. Lance leaned back in his chair. "We're modernizing the payroll infrastructure, moving to a more agile cloud-native solution. Nora's built a complete system in Google Sheets with AI automation. It handles everything your legacy setup does, faster, cheaper, and without the single point of failure dependency." Single point of failure. That was me. I looked at Nora. "Have you run multi-state dot compliance calculations for drivers who cross state lines midweek?" "I've modeled the framework," she said. "Modeled it. The logic scales." I set my coffee down. Our HOS calculation engine has 340 rule variations depending on state, cargo classification, and federal contract status. The IFTA fuel tax records go back 4 years and feed directly into DOT audit logs. The Indiana terminal clocks have a sync error that fires every 3rd Wednesday when network load spikes after 10 p.m. I catch it manually every week before the Thursday pre-run. If that gets missed even once, 200 drivers get shorted on their hours. Nora was nodding like she was following along. I could tell she wasn't. Lance held up a hand. "We appreciate everything you've built here, Gary. But the company needs to evolve." Donna slid a folder across the table. I didn't need to open it to know what was inside. "Your last day is Friday," Lance said, after the payroll run. "We'll need you to walk Nora through the system this week." I sat there for a moment, didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. There was no point. The decision had been made before I walked through that door. "All right," I said. I picked up my coffee and stood up. That afternoon, I wrote an email. Took me about 20 minutes. 7 specific compliance risks, laid out clearly what they were, what triggered them, what the consequences would be if they weren't handled correctly. Federal audit exposure, DOT violation liability, union contract penalties. I sent it to the board of directors with a read receipt, CC'd nobody, and wrote in the subject line, "Payroll system transition, risk assessment for board review." Not a threat, not a complaint, just a professional document, time-stamped, on record. If they wanted to ignore it, that was their choice. But I wasn't going to be the guy who said nothing. Tuesday morning, Nora showed up at my desk at 8 a.m. with her iPad and a legal pad. I walked her through everything I could think of. The Arizona prevailing wage workaround, the state database has had corrupted county codes since 2019. About 3% of classifications return wrong rates if you don't catch them manually. The Wednesday clock sync error at the Indiana terminal. The if-day reconciliation process that has to run in a specific sequence or the fuel tax totals cascade wrong across state lines. She took notes, typed things into her iPad, asked decent questions for someone who had no idea what she was looking at. Wednesday afternoon, she said, "I think I've got a good handle on it." I nodded. I didn't say what I was thinking. Thursday, she started importing real data. All 8,400 employee records, pulled from the HR system and dropped into her Google Sheets model. The browser slowed down immediately. The AI plugin started throwing lookup errors on interstate driver records. She clicked refresh twice. "Just loading," she said. I could see exactly what was happening. Her conditional logic was hitting circular references because she'd structured the overtime rules as flat VLOOKUP tables instead of cascading conditionals. When you've got federal regs, state regs, and carrier-level union rules all stacking on the same driver record, a flat lookup doesn't work. The calculation has to check criteria in a specific order. Nora's model was trying to do all three simultaneously and locking up. "You might want to test on a smaller dataset first," I said. "I've got it," she said. I went back to my desk and started packing. Coffee mug, a photo of my F-250. A small tackle box I'd kept in the bottom drawer for years because nobody ever asked about it, and it made me feel better knowing it was there. Friday morning, Nora was at my workstation before I got in. Laptop open, Google Sheets loaded, that same confident posture from Monday. I set my box of personal items on the edge of the desk and watched her for a minute before she noticed me. "Ready to make history?" she said. I didn't answer that. I pulled up a chair and sat down next to her one last time. "Bank cutoff for direct deposit is noon," I told her. "Miss it, and 8,400 people don't get paid until Monday. These guys have rent due, car payments. Some of them are living paycheck to paycheck." "I know," she said. She was already clicking through her tabs. "One more thing." I waited until she looked at me. "If something looks wrong, don't rerun the calculations. Every time you reprocess, it creates duplicate entries in the system. Find the problem first, fix the source, then run," she nodded. Her eyes were already back on the screen. I picked up my box, walked to the elevator. Hank Morrow was downstairs at the security desk, same as always. He stood up when he saw me coming, which he didn't have to do. "Sorry to see you go, Gary. It's just business, Hank." He shook my hand and held it a second longer than a normal handshake. That said enough. I drove home with the windows down, stopped at the bait shop on Route 40, picked up a coffee and a carton of night crawlers, and had my line in the water by 10:30. The pond behind my property was quiet that time of morning, cold enough that my breath made small clouds. I sat in my camp chair and didn't think about payroll for about 17 minutes. Then my phone buzzed. Neil Dawson, one of the payroll clerks. "Gary, Nora's sheet is showing negative overtime for half the Ohio routes. Drivers showing they owe U.S. hours back." I read it. Put the phone face down on the cooler. It buzzed again. Dale Sherwood from the Indiana Depot. "Dude, my pay stub says I worked 0 hours, but my gross pay is $14,000. What's happening over there?" Then Ted Langford from Kentucky. "Gary, my stub says I make $1,847 an hour. I wish. Something is very wrong." By 11:15, I had 22 messages. I could picture exactly what had happened during the import. Nora's column headers had shifted when she pulled the data from the HR system. Employee ID numbers were being processed as hours worked, and hours worked were feeding into the pay rate fields. The AI plugin was doing exactly what it was programmed to do. It was just working with completely scrambled inputs. One driver in Dayton was showing a gross pay of $47,000. Another was being charged $1,200 in equipment recovery fees deducted directly from his check. The system wasn't broken, it was doing math perfectly on wrong numbers. But that wasn't even the real problem yet. The real problem was still coming. At 11:51, my phone rang. Donna Whitfield. "Gary." Her voice was tight in a way I hadn't heard from her before. "The bank flagged our payroll file. They're saying the transfer amounts are invalid. The routing data doesn't match registered accounts, and some of the deposit totals are triggering their fraud detection." "Did the file go through?" "No." Full rejection. Automated response. I reeled in my line slowly. "Has Nora tried to fix it?" "She's been trying since 11. She reloaded the source data twice." I stopped reeling. "She reloaded it." "Yes," said she was trying to start fresh. I set the rod down on the bank. Donna? When she reloaded the source data, did she overwrite the original file? A long pause. I don't know, Gary. I think so. She was moving fast. There it was. I told her on Tuesday, and again on Friday morning, don't rerun, fix the source first. When you're panicking in a spreadsheet and something isn't working, every instinct tells you to wipe it and start over. But when you do that without a proper backup, you don't start over. You start from nothing. Is anyone else over there looking at backups? Lance called IT. They said the only backups they have are the ones in the cloud sync and those updated automatically when Nora saved over the original. What about the archive logs? Another pause. What archive logs? Never mind, I said. Tell Lance I'll call him in an hour. I packed up my gear, loaded the cooler in the truck, and drove home, made a sandwich, sat at the kitchen table and watched the clock. 12:07 p.m. The cutoff had passed. 8,400 direct deposits were not going through today. Lance called me at 12:34 before I called him. Gary, we have a situation. I know. The file was rejected. We can't locate the original payroll data. Nora is. He stopped. She's working on it. I ate half my sandwich. What's happening at the terminals? Dryers are checking the employee portal. It's showing errors on every record. Some guys are seeing pay stubs that don't make any sense. We're getting calls from, he paused again and I could hear someone talking in the background. Roy Callahan just called our operations director. Roy Callahan had been running the Teamsters local for our region for 28 years. He wasn't the type to leave a voicemail. Lance, I said, Roy doesn't call to chat. I know. You need to get ahead of this before he does. Lance was quiet for a moment. Can you come in? Not yet, I said. Let me know what Roy does next. I finished my sandwich and turned on the Browns game. My phone kept buzzing. I read every message, responded to none of them. There was nothing I could fix from my kitchen, and there was nothing Nora could fix from that conference room. The only thing left now was for the situation to finish teaching its lesson. At 3:18 p.m., Hank texted me a photo. Roy Callahan was standing on a loading dock at the Columbus terminal, megaphone in hand, with 60 trucks lined up behind him and not one of them moving. I looked at that photo for a long time. Roy had his work jacket on, the one with the Teamsters patch on the left shoulder. Behind him, drivers were leaning against their cabs, arms crossed, nobody going anywhere. A few of them were on their phones. I could already guess what they were filming. By 4 p.m., it wasn't just Columbus. Hank sent me updates every 30 minutes. Indianapolis Terminal stopped. Grand Rapids stopped. Louisville Depot stopped. Every Hartwell yard in 4 states had gone quiet. 8,400 workers sitting on their paychecks, or rather sitting on the fact that their paychecks didn't exist yet. Local news picked it up before dinner. Channel 4 in Columbus ran aerial footage of the freight yards, rows of orange and white Hartwell trucks lined up with nowhere to go. A reporter interviewed a driver named Walt outside the Columbus terminal. Walt had been driving freight for 22 years. He held up his phone showing the employee portal, which was displaying his weekly gross pay as negative $340. I don't owe them money, Walt said on camera. I worked 54 hours this week. I just want what I earned. Roy got about 45 seconds of airtime standing next to a Peterbilt, arms crossed, looking directly into the camera. Hartwell Freight can't figure out how to pay the people keeping their supply chain running, he said, so we stopped running it. Simple as that. I watched the clip twice on my phone, then set it on the kitchen counter and poured myself a cup of coffee. Not bourbon, just coffee. I wasn't celebrating anything. These were real people not getting paid on a Friday night, and that was a bad situation, no matter how it had started. Lance called again at 6:47. The story is on 3 local stations, he said. His voice had lost whatever was left of its VP energy. We've got retailers calling our logistics director asking about delayed shipments. The board is, they've seen your email, Gary. I didn't say anything to that. They want to know if the risk assessment you sent Monday was accurate. Every word. Another silence. Longer this time. Can you come in tomorrow morning? No. I said Monday, and not alone. I called Phil Grayson that evening. Phil had been my labor attorney for 6 years, handled my contract review when I first came to Hartwell. I gave him the short version: fired Monday, compliance email to board Tuesday. Payroll collapse Friday, Teamsters work stoppage Friday afternoon, board now reading my risk assessment. Phil was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want? I had the list ready. I'd written it Saturday morning at the kitchen table with a second cup of coffee. Same way I'd built every system at Hartwell, methodically, without rushing. 8,000 cash up front, salary increase of 45%, direct reporting to the board, not operations. Nora Buckley has no access to payroll systems going forward. And a written public statement on the company website acknowledging the failure was caused by premature implementation of an inadequate system. Phil, read it back to me. That last one is the one they'll fight. I know that's why it's on the list. Saturday was quiet on my end. The work stoppage held through the weekend. Sunday morning, Roy texted me directly for the first time. We'd known each other professionally for years. He'd come through my office twice about payroll discrepancies, both times legitimate. Both times I'd fix them within the hour. His message was short. How many days until you can get us paid right? I texted back, if I'm in Tuesday morning, Thursday at the latest, he replied. Then get in Tuesday morning, Monday at 7:42 a.m. Same time Lance had called me a week earlier. I walked into the Hartwell building with Phil Grayson. Phil is 61, gray hair, carries a leather briefcase that looks like it's been through more boardrooms than most executives. He doesn't raise his voice, doesn't need to. Lance was waiting in the fourth-floor conference room with the company's general counsel, a man named Bart Howell, who I'd seen exactly twice before. Donna Whitfield was there too, sitting at the far end of the table, hands folded, not making eye contact with anyone. Lance looked like he hadn't slept since Friday. There were coffee cups stacked near his chair. The glass desk he'd been so relaxed behind a week ago seemed a lot smaller now. Gary, he said, I want you to know that Phil, set a single sheet of paper on the table and slid it toward Bart Howell. Mr. Pruitt's terms are on that page. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to sign or not sign. Bart picked up the paper, read it, looked at Lance. Something passed between them that I didn't need to decode. Lance turned back to me. The public statement is on the page, Phil said. Bart cleared his throat. The salary adjustment is significant. The work stoppage is costing you more per day than his annual salary, Phil said. Would you like me to run that math? Bart put the paper down, looked at it again. The board has reviewed Mr. Pruitt's Monday email, he said, mostly to Lance. Then to me, they've asked me to express that the email was thorough and that the concerns raised were, in retrospect, entirely valid. Lance nodded slowly, like it cost him something. We should have listened. I let that sit for a second, not to punish him, just because some things deserve a moment. Where do I sign? I said. Phil produced the full agreement, 4 pages, already drafted over the weekend. Bart reviewed it, made 2 small edits. Phil accepted them both. Lance signed at 9:06 a.m. I signed below him. Donna walked out without saying a word. I didn't hold it against her. On my way out of the conference room, Lance stopped me. Nora's been moved to the marketing analytics group. I picked up my copy of the agreement. Good luck to her. I meant it. I walked back into the server room Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., flipped the lights on. The cooling fans kicked in immediately. Somebody had finally fixed the ventilation issue. Small thing. Noticed it anyway. The damage was worse than I'd expected, and I'd expected bad. Nora hadn't just lost the payroll data. In her attempts to reload and reprocess over the weekend, she'd managed to lock 3 database tables, create a cascading error loop in the .compliance modules, and somehow register 847 duplicate employee records, all returning the value ref ixuro where names should have been. The IFT fuel tax ledger was showing negative balances on 14 state accounts. The HOS calculation engine had stopped logging altogether. It was still running, just writing results to a temp folder nobody had set up permissions for. I sat down, made a list, started at the top. The first thing I did was check the basement. 3rd floor sublevel, past the old paper records, storage, a rack-mounted backup server I'd installed 4 years ago using equipment the company had written off as surplus. I'd set it to mirror the production archive logs every 6 hours. Automatic, silent, nobody had ever asked about it because nobody had ever needed it until now. The last clean snapshot was Thursday at 11 p.m., about 9 hours before Nora started her Friday import. Every transaction record, every driver record, every IFTA entry, every HOS log, all of it intact, sitting on a server that Nora didn't know existed because it had never come up in any of our handoff conversations. I copied the snapshot to a staging environment and started working. The first 6 hours were the database tables. Unlocking them required rebuilding the transaction index from the archive logs. which meant running a reconciliation pass on every record modified between Thursday night and Friday noon. There were 4,847 of them. I let the script run while I worked on the compliance modules. The dot cascade error was cleaner than it looked once I traced it back to the source, a single misconfigured trigger in the HOS logging module that Nora's import had accidentally overridden. 20 minutes to fix. The cascade it caused took another 3 hours to unwind. I drank a lot of coffee, took 3 breaks of about 8 minutes each. Walked to the window once and watched the freight yard below. Still empty. Still waiting. By 9 p.m. Tuesday, I had a clean staging environment. By midnight, I had the production system restored and verified. By 2 a.m. Wednesday, I'd run the full payroll calculation for all 8,400 employees. Real numbers this time. Every state rule applied in the right sequence. Every HOS record reconciled. Every IFTA entry balanced. I checked the output 3 times, then I printed it and checked it again with a red pen the way I'd done every quarter for 11 years. Thursday morning at 6 a.m., I transmitted the payroll file to the bank. The confirmation came back at 6:09. File accepted, funds scheduled for same-day processing. I leaned back in my chair and finished the last of my coffee. Roy texted at 6:23, file cleared. I replied, done. Everyone paid correctly. Strike days included as overtime per the agreement. 3 minutes passed. Then, trucks rolling in 30 minutes. You're a good man, Gary. I walked to the window. By 6:45, the Columbus terminal was moving again. Trucks pulling out one by one, headlights cutting through the early morning. Drivers who hadn't seen a paycheck in a week, now whole again. I watched until the yard was empty and moving, the way it was supposed to be. Around 8 a.m., Hank came up to the server room. He knocked on the open door frame and leaned against it. Word got around, he said. Some of the drivers know it was you. Doesn't matter. Matters to them. He held out his hand. I shook it. Walt from Columbus called the front desk this morning. Asked us to pass along a message. Said to tell you he's got 22 years on the road and he's never had a payroll manager who actually gave a damn about whether drivers got paid right. I didn't say anything to that, just nodded. Hank left me to it. My new office was down the hall, same building, different floor, window facing the freight yard instead of the parking lot. Nothing fancy. A desk, a chair, a coffee machine that worked, direct line to the board. No more routing everything through Lance's office. I unpacked my coffee mug. Set the photo of my F-250 on the corner of the desk. Put the tackle box in the bottom drawer. Same as always, just in a different room. If you've spent 20, 25, 30 years building something that actually works, a system, a process, a team, a way of doing things that holds up under real pressure, you already know what I'm talking about. At some point, somebody younger is going to walk in with a cleaner interface and a better pitch and tell you your way is obsolete. Maybe they'll be right. Sometimes the new way genuinely is better, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes experience isn't stubbornness. It's just knowing where the bodies are buried. Knowing which clock has a Wednesday glitch. Knowing which state database has been corrupted for 5 years and nobody's fixed it. Knowing that 8,400 people are counting on you to catch the thing the spreadsheet will never catch on its own. That knowledge has value. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't. And if they fire you for it anyway, document everything. Keep your backups somewhere nobody else knows about, and answer the phone when they call on Monday morning. They will call.